Okay, everyone, welcome. It's Chris. Thanks for coming by. We're just starting out the video with the finished painting. So here you can see our finished painting. I'm going to zoom in just a touch here. Okay, so if you want, you can hit pause, work right from this picture here. You can do a screen capture. You could take a picture of your monitor, your computer monitor, or your laptop computer, or your iPad with your phone. Lots of ways to do this. You can do a screen capture. Most of you are really good with electronic equipment, with your phones and so forth and computers, so you'll figure it out. This is the painting, and you can work right from this. You can draw and paint from this, all in this one first section here. And then right after this, we'll just get started. Okay, everyone, welcome. Hey, come right on in and let's get started here. We're going to do some really exciting painting today. We're actually going to work on a, I would call it a painting similar to Andrew Wyeth's paintings. If you ever look up online and do a little bit of research and check out some of Andrew Wyeth's paintings, he's a great master painter, just phenomenal work. So I don't want to get too much into all the details of historical things like that. I want to get right into the painting. That's what we're here for. We're here to get better, practice our skills, have a good time, enjoy. Let's do that. So one of his paintings, he has a window inside of a room, and he actually does a lot of paintings of interiors. That's one of his favorite things to paint. And I think he painted many of his interiors of his own places that he lived, as well as friends and neighbors and things like that. So he had a lot of work that he did around his own environment where he lived and worked as an artist, a professional artist. And so we're going to try to have fun with this. This is a great painting for anyone. You could be a beginner just starting out in watercolor. You might be, a couple years into it and you're having fun and enjoying learning watercolor. But this is what we're going to use. We're going to use this, just an idea of a window inside of a room. So we have the beautiful outdoors, outside of that window, the bright light, and then the indoors, the walls and the shadowing and the nice look of that feel of light and dark. So that's always a powerful, impactful thing you can do in a painting when you're creating a watercolor painting. If you can capture the interesting effects of light, you're always going to have more of a better outcome, I think, with your watercolor painting. So we're going to try to work on that right now. So let's get started. I'm just going to take you through a few things I'm going to do here. One will be I'm going to work from my laptop, which is across from me. This is my iPhone. So I do have an iPhone here, and I looked up the picture. So you can do that. You can go online, use your laptop, your home computer, your iPhone, Samsung, whatever type of phone you might have. You can look up Andrew Wyeth, and you'll find the painting that you just saw there. It's one of his most famous paintings. I sort of am just zoning in on the window aspect and the walls and window aspect of the painting. I feel that's a good way to sort of work on something where we can have a fun time and we don't have to stress too much about too much information. So we will continue here. What I'll do is I'll just do a quick few things here while we're doing some setup here. So I don't normally use sepia paint a whole lot, but we're going to use it in this painting. So what I'll do is I'll just, instead of emptying out a pan inside of my palette, I'll just take an additional pan. This is by Schminke. Schminke makes half pans and whole pans, large pans like this. They make these, you can buy these online by Schminke. They make these palettes as well. This is a great palette. I think this is the best palette I've found for just all-around painting for watercolor artists, whether you're outdoor painter, you paint indoors a lot. This gives you lots of palette space as well as lots of place to put your pans. So, and I have videos on this. You can look me up online on Watercolor in 5. If you type in Watercolor in 5, I kind of show you how I set up my palette and all my colors. So let's take this pan and we'll put some sepia tone in there. I like Winsor & Newton paints mostly. That's what I use 75% of the time. I'm always using Winsor & Newton paints. Winsor & Newton paints. I find that they're just beautiful. They're all around. I just find that they really look great. And they handle great in the palette and on the paper. So I'm just going to fill up my well here with some sepia tone paint, Winsor & Newton. And then what I'll do is I'll just double stick tape the pan to my palette. So I'll just take a piece of small, this is outdoor heavy duty double stick tape. And I just take a little trim a little small piece off there like that with my scissor. And then I just peel off the red tape there. Like that. And then I probably can flip this over, I think, but I'm not going to do that so I don't dump anything on my paper. And I just put the double stick tape on the bottom of my pan here of sepia tone paint by Winsor & Newton. And we'll just, let's say, let's put it here. Actually, I use this a lot up here. Let me do this over here. Okay, so I'll put that by my dark, that would be ivory black and Pines gray. And okay, so that's going to be our sepia tone, which I don't normally have in my palette. It's pretty close to burnt umber. It's darker though. So you could use French ultramarine blue and burnt umber mixed with maybe even a little bit of the Prussian blue to get a nice dark or a darker burnt umber type color. But we'll use the sepia tone for this painting for our darkest warm brownish color. And you can make do though. If you don't have sepia paint, no problem. You can use, again, burnt umber with a little bit of, I think a little bit of burnt umber and French ultramarine blue will work. It'll darken up your brown just a little bit. And you can also add some burnt sienna to that, which would balance the light, warm and coolness of the burnt umber. And you can be creative and, change around the colors eventually if you try it in this fashion first. And then you can go and maybe do a different color scheme in this painting. You can do a lot with this type of painting. You can change things around. You can actually take the window, maybe make the window white trim. You could do all kinds of fun things. This is really, but we're going to work again from that photo. And I'm going to get situated here. I'm going to use some more, here we're going to tape off our borders of our paper. The main thing here is you have to use rough paper. So make sure you have rough paper when you're doing this composition. That's really a key part of it. If you use rough paper, you're going to have a real fun time with the textures and all of the washes in your painting, this painting. If you don't use rough paper, I don't think it's going to turn out that well, because a big part of this painting is the rough textures and getting some of the really nice textural qualities of the walls and in the washes and just overall. So I'm just putting out the tape onto the border of my paper. This is kind of good too, so you can see my border of my paper here. And I'm using a 14-inch Arches pad, gummed pad. So what I did is I took a piece of printer paper and I put it on the bottom half of the paper for this video and then taped it so that I don't splash on my other half of my gummed pad paper. So this is actually half of a pad here. This rectangle is half my pad. And then I just cover the other half with my printer paper with a piece of tape so I don't splash anything on down here. Okay, so we have everything all set up. We have our border. Okay. Let's start our drawing. And basically, I think this is just a window framed out with some timbers, some trim. So this is nothing too complex. You can use a ruler. Let's use a ruler. I have a half a ruler here. And let's make the window about, so just for, it's always good to maybe lay out our, I'm looking at my reference material and I'm saying, okay, my window starts about here. And then it's about, so it's a good amount across the page here, about there. And then if I go over here, the window comes down about 3/4 of the way, maybe 2/3 of the way. So if we go 1/3, 2/3, so the window starts here. And then we just know this is 1/3, 2/3, 3/3. Window here. So our window is going to be up here. And then we'll do a couple more details just to kind of give us the feel of a room. Maybe we'll do just maybe a little bit of the bedposts. So we'll get into our drawing though. So at least we get the window. Make sure we want to make sure we get that window in here correctly. It's proper scale. Window. This is really important, the scale of the window inside the room and the wall that we're painting. And if you want, you can adjust it. You can shrink down the window, make it smaller in the room, and add more information around. But if we're just going to stick with this, and we'll do it this way. So now we're going to take and we're going to use a ruler. Let's use a ruler. Why not? So let's take a ruler. We're going to make a window. We said we're going to come down 2/3 about here, like that. Good. So we lined up with the bottom of that. And we will do this here, like so, and then we'll okay, now when I'm looking at my composition, I'm noticing that this looks pretty big, a little bigger than I'm anticipating. That's not a problem though. What I'll do is I'll make the trim of the window the outer portion of this square, which will kind of shrink down the idea of everything. So I can see right away that we're going to have trim all the way around. Let's get the trim here. And we'll maybe make the trim across like so. And like this. And then there's a sill on the interior of the window. So we'll make the sill. That'll hang over the edge of the outer trim, vertical trims. So we have the vertical trim this way. We're going to make the window sill trim a little bit beyond the, like that, beyond the edge of the vertical trim. So that'll be a little interesting detail, this little tiny bit sticking out. That's important to have some variation here. And then we have this here underneath. So we've got this good underneath this trim. This is going to be dark shade, so we don't have to worry. Then we're going to go with this side of the... Basically, we're drawing a box within a box, if you can imagine, right? That's pretty simple, isn't it? We're just... If you could always draw this in later, too, this sill. You could draw this sill line in after you do your larger box on the outside, and then you just draw another box for the trim on the outside of the window, on the inside of this, and you can kind of see the scale of it. So, and you're looking at your photograph, you're always referring back to your photograph. So we're going to take a break. We're going to take a break soon. We're just going to, let's get the window in. Let's get the window done first, and then we'll take a break. All right, so now the only thing that's a touch complicated about this is the view is from someone maybe like sitting down on the bed and looking up. So the window is actually, you're seeing the actual inside of the window jamb and the window jambs on the interiors of the window. So, and that really looks beautiful. So you have thick jambs, and then as well as thick jambs, you have, well, let's say our jambs are a little thinner than the other trim over here. So let's just see what that looks like. Okay, like that. So they're a little thinner, the jambs over here. And this jamb is a little thinner over here for the, like that. And then here you have the top interior jamb of the window, like that. This is all just about taking your time and just really studying the window in this picture, because actually this painting, the main focus is the window, and you'll notice that it's pretty detailed. So if you just take your time, keep looking at the window in the picture and try to maybe even rough out a sketch on some printer paper first or some scrap paper on the side, kind of figure out some of the details of that window first, sketch it a couple times first, maybe use a ruler a few times, come up with a game plan so that when you're going to start on your really good watercolor paper, your rough watercolor paper here, you kind of have things worked out first. I can't say that enough, and those of you that follow me, and I'll just put a little shameless plug in here, if you haven't subscribed, hey, please subscribe. This is what it's all about, learning all the details of watercolor. So if you come by, you subscribe to my channel, you hit the notification bell, you're going to be learning the best knowledge you can in watercolor. And we do paintings here every week, every type of painting you can imagine, seascapes, landscapes, flower paintings. We do paintings like this, offbeat paintings, doing some famous old master paintings. We do paintings about palette colors and palettes. We do all kinds of stuff here, interesting watercolor videos. So come on by, hit that notification bell, hit the subscribe button. You won't be disappointed, and you'll be excited each time you come here to my channel. So let's continue on here. Now back to our programming. Let's do so far we have the exterior trim on the wall that's actually tacked on the wall of this bedroom. Now we're doing the interior jambs, which are the three-dimensionally, if you're looking at the window, this is the wall, the actual wall of the house here. So you're seeing the exterior trim, then you're seeing the jamb where the window sits in, and then now we'll do the window itself, the sashes of the window. So we're going to create this like we see it in the painting. So We have three. We have three lights, as they say, by three lights. Let's use our ruler. And let's just go across there like that. And like that. And then, this is a little thicker. It looks like this sash is a little thicker here. And then we're going to go 3 across this way. 1, 2, 3. Let's space it evenly. So if you can imagine, I'm just going to try to feel out the 3 lights of the grill of the window, which is about a third, 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. You can just imagine the like that. Then we do that, and we just draw vertical lines, 2 vertical lines. And wow, we need a break now. There's a lot of stuff to have to do, to have to worry about and work out here. We're going to have the sill, the window sill is here. Now, you might be saying to yourself, well, this is way too much detail, but trust me, it's not. Carefully study what I'm drawing and study the picture too, the actual finished painting by Wyeth. Try to get this window really, really nailed down nicely. Really try to get all the details of it, because that's the focus of the painting. And wait till we start doing some of the trees outside this window and the other part of the house. So when you're looking through this window, you're seeing a portion of the exterior of the house. Really exciting. So that's really, really cool. It almost takes you from the bedroom out into the outside world through this window. So that's what's so exciting about this painting. So that's why I try to really kind of get the window and all the trim as best as you can. Doesn't have to be perfect, but try to get it pretty good. And you can see here so far how I did this. It's all pretty much here. You can kind of see everything. Looks pretty good. And we have and we're going to work on this just a little more, but we need a break now. We've been working on this for like 20 minutes. All right, so let's take a break, stretch our legs, get up, walk, get a glass of water, cup of tea, whatever. I'm going to get a cup of coffee right now. I already have it right next to me here, so I'm ready to go. Let's take a break. I'll be right back. We'll continue finishing up this window. We're almost done, and then we can start painting. Okay, it's Chris Petri, and we're back, everyone. Thanks so much for working on this painting together. We're going to have a fun time. We're going to continue. So we're working on this beautiful Andrew Wyeth style painting. It's an interior painting. And I'm hoping that I can get you, the viewer, who might be new to watercolor, to do this painting and not get bogged down in too many details and then get frustrated and just, say, I can't draw this window, it's too much. That's why I'm just going to show a quick way to do this window in this interior without getting too bogged down. You can see here I did a lot of details on this window so far. But if you want to just do a simple rendition of this window, you can really actually do that. So in essence, if you're new to watercolor and you don't draw all the time and you're not used to all the, hash marks and all this kind of stuff, no big deal. When you draw the window in this interior space, I would just do a quick, it's more or less, it's a rectangle. It's not a square, it's a rectangle as far as its shape, like that. So all you have to really do is just remember, you're going to do a rectangle within a rectangle, which represents the trim. So that's all you have to remember, is to do that rectangle, and then another rectangle within a rectangle, like this. That's all you have to do there. And then beyond that, all you have to just remember is you're going to have the grills in the window are 1/3. So 1/3, 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. So you just take your, you could measure it. If you have a ruler, you can use millimeters, centimeters, inches, you can use the American standard. You can use the metric standard, however you want. And you just divide it up into thirds. So you might even just make it easy when you draw your first rectangle, you make it like 6 centimeters, or You could make it, let's say, well, it's probably easier to do it in metric if you're trying to divide things up and make like subdivisions of things. So, but to make a long story short, however you have to do it, you just get your rectangle within a rectangle, and then you just want to make your thirds like this for your lights in your windows, like that. And this one here is a little bit larger, according to the picture. So this one will be a little bit larger. And that's all. And then you would just follow the same way once we start painting, you're going to follow our painting techniques as you go through the painting, except if you don't want to get bogged down with all the window sills and angles on the interior of the window, so on and so forth. Just keep it real simple. Just keep it a rectangle. I'll even kind of make it more simple here. A rectangle, then another rectangle within that rectangle, and that gives you your trim around your window. And then you have your grills in your window, your actual glazing, your window glazings. And this one's a little thicker here, like that. Once you have this drawn in pencil, you're set. That's all you need to have. If you want to go the detailed route, well, we have it here. Let's continue on. So we will continue with our drawing. So now we have the window completed. There's something on top of this window, so let's draw that in. That looks like maybe a small cup or something like that. We'll put that there. We have some shadows from this sash, so let's do that. We'll add that shadow there. And actually, I also have to draw in the window trim here, actually. So if you can imagine, there's actually another, again, there's actually 3 rectangles within each other. There's the room interior trim. There's the actual jamb of the window in here. And then there's the window frame, which I'm going to do now. So I'm going to fill in all the minor details I see. This is the window sashes. There's the window sashes here along the bottom. And then I will make the and as you can see, I'm just working the lines. I want to make them the same thickness as I see in the picture, in the painting, so that when I go to paint it, it's going to come out correctly. And this is dark here. This is a little lighter. This is dark here. We'll work that out as we go. The tonal values, the lights and darks of everything, we work that out as we paint. But we get down the critical information for our drawing. This is a little thicker, I noticed. So I'm going to make that a little thicker. And that's all darks there. Then we have That's plenty of information, I think. Too many pencil lines will get us in trouble. Let's not do that. Let's not do too many pencil lines. And I think we're... There we go. All right, perfect. All right, so now we're continuing on. We will... Next, we will get the trim along the bottom of the wall. Let's see. Let's do the corner of the wall first here. So there's a corner of the room here. There's a wall in the corner of the room. So let's do that like that. And then we can erase a little here, just a little bit with our kneaded eraser. So we'll erase that line a little bit. Now we're going to look and say, where is the post of the bed compared to the window? So if I take the window and make a level line across, let's see in the picture, it's just a little touch above the window sill. So that's going to be here's going to be so we're just going to make the top of the bedpost here. And we're not going to get overly worried. We're just going to contour draw. We have a series of circles here. Circle, circle. Then we have a kind of a bell shape there. Like that. And then we have a thicker portion of that, and we go like this, and then we have the pillows on the bed and the bedspread and covering. So we're going to make a nice bedspread. We'll make this comfortable looking. This is as if we're relaxing. Maybe we're in bed reading a book, enjoying ourselves on a nice day inside, and we're enjoying a look out the beautiful window. We're seeing the outdoors, and I think I'm going to leave the, I'm trying to think if that's going to work out with our scale here. Okay, I think the bedpost on this side would be further to the left outside our picture, judging from this. So I think we'll be okay. We can leave the one bedpost here, and that'll be fine. And then we'll put our chair rail on the wall here. So let's do that. And that's simply just a couple lines, 3 lines. Like that. So we have a chair rail running across the room. Over here, it's going to angle back this way. Like that. And I think that's good. I think our drawing is complete. We have everything, all the information we need. We have the window. Lots of detail on this window. Remember, if you want to simplify it, just get down the basics of it. The outside trim, and then the lights of the window panes themselves. Keep it simple. You know, if you like the real details of things, well, then you go in and do all the details. If you want to keep it more simple, then just simplify it. Don't worry about all the lines and real, detailed part of the window that we did here. It's fine if you do a more simple version of it. And again, we have the walls, a simple a bedpost here, a bed, some like bedspread. You know, we're gonna have a nice little look in here of a nice comfortable room. And then we're going to have all the outdoor things too. We'll also get that going. Let's take a break. Again, we did a lot finishing up our window. Let's take another break. We'll come back. We'll get some of the outdoor trees and some of the side of the house over here. So the outdoor view is very important to this painting. So we're going to make sure we get the details of that. So let's take another break, a quick break, and we'll come back. We'll start working on the outdoor, what lies beyond this window view here, which is really exciting. You're really going to like this next part. We're going to create some of these pine trees in the sides of the house and the sunlight coming through the window. It's going to be beautiful. All right, we'll be right back. All right, we're getting back. We're going to finish up our drawing. Just a touch more details here in this window section. Let me see if I can turn down my lights just a little bit. Okay, sometimes those lights I have above me, I try to turn them down sometimes because I think it's hard to see the pencil lines. Hopefully we can see the pencil lines here, but we have our window boxed out really nicely. And now we're just going to do the outdoors. Outside of the window here, we have a beautiful pine tree. So let's take a look here. Let's do our pine tree. We're just going to kind of rough it in a little bit. Most of this work we'll do with our paintbrush. We'll do most of this again with our paintbrush, but we're just going to kind of rough in the... And what's fun about this is we'll have a lot of fun creating the pine trees outside of this window scene here. It's lots of details and nothing too difficult. You know, pine tree, you're just doing lots of little small fine lines here along this window. The window is sort of hiding the pine tree a little bit, so you're not having to do as much worrying about how it's going to turn out, because if you get a few lines here and there correct, you're going to turn out fine. And then up here we have another bit of pine tree here, some limbs. This is a limb from the pine tree there. And another there, just a little bit there. And this one here I think is a little more, I'm going to just zip that little eraser. I think this is more level, this bit here. Just a little touch there. We could even erase that a little bit. Just maybe a little bit of a branch there, not too much. Okay, and then we have the house. Okay, so the exterior of this home, when you look through this window, you're seeing another wall of the house on the exterior point here. So we're just going to do that wall. And there's some old clapboard siding here on this wall. So we're just going to make the siding clapboards here, and we angle the clapboards this way, and then as they come down we level them out, so by the time we're down here we're straight level. And there might be some more a little bit of more maybe some shrubs over here on the left hand side a little bit. We could do that. And again, the real key, exciting part of the painting is the window and the view looking out into the outdoors from this scene. So this is really the critical, real exciting part of the painting, this window area. So that's why the window, we've spent a lot of time on the window. And the outdoor here, we have the other part of the house here the exterior of the portion of the house there. And some pine trees, and that's good. I think we'll pretty much have that all set. And all we have left now is really, I think we're actually all set. We can work from our painting. When we start painting this scene in watercolor, we're just going to use our reference photo. And the best thing is to use my finished painting as your reference painting. That would be the best thing to do, because if you're going to draw and paint from this, it just makes it more simple. Or you can actually go back to the original photograph online of the Andrew Wyeth painting. You can do that as well. Both work fine. So we'll get started. We'll maybe do some painting now. I'm going to use a number 5 Da Vinci travel brush. Fresh, clean water. And I think we can do a lot with this number 5 brush in this painting, because the painting is, you know, like a 6x8 size painting on Arches rough paper. So we can do a lot of the painting with our number 5 brush here. And we have sepia tone paint. We can use that. So we're going to have that here. Our sepia tone paint. And we have some other colors mixing and mingling up here. We have some, let's start off fresh. So I don't want to really use too much of what I have prior. Let me clean up the palette a little bit. So I'm going to just clean up the palette a touch. I'll start from scratch. I'll just take all the paint off previous here. Okay. And now we're going to go in. We have sepia tone, burnt umber, French ultramarine blue. I usually have a tissue with me. I dry off some of the water on the tissue. And then we'll just start out. Let's go for the darks first. So let's go straight in. And what do we see? What is our darkest darks? On the window, I think up here is pretty dark. So we can do this. This is the actual window frame, the sash of the window actually. Let's do the sash of the window, the darkest dark. So that's straight sepia tone. And if you start with the darkest darks, you can't go wrong. You do those first, and then you lighten up as you go. That's all really. So now this is dark over here. You'll see this sash of the window over here is dark. So let's do that. I just rest my hand on the paper, so I'm stable. I have a stable, firm resting place for my hand. And then I just take my brush and set it down, and then just go and slightly move my hand upwards like that. And let's see, we have, so I used burnt umber and sepia tone. To Start working in my darkest darks. Here I just set the brush down and then just slide the brush over a little bit at a time. Like that. There we go. And we could also use some raw umber there. We have also some yellow ochre. So you kind of see I'm sticking with really the earth tones here. And let's add some cerulean blue in there just for some warm and cool. We always want to have warm and cool. And we just put some window grills in, or window panes. These are the glazings of the window. There we go, like that. If you see something a little darker, go straight into your sepia tone. Just make it darker. Even within these darks, you have darker darks. Sometimes you'll notice, if you look real closely into the photographs of these paintings, you'll notice there's even when you're painting really dark, you'll notice sometimes even really dark passages within the painting will have even darker darks in there, which are straight right out of the tube paint. And we're going to keep going here. This might be, if you find that you have a section of your painting where you look and you say, I think I drew something incorrectly, no problem. You can just lift up your pencil line. I noticed I made this portion of the window incorrectly, or I might have penciled in something else which made that line seem incorrect. So then I just do another line. There we go. And then we just start another line this way. And this is the other sash of the window, across like that. You can add a little bit of water to a few spots there to the line, and then take a tissue and lift up. So you're interrupting a line or two there. Let's see, cerulean blue. So here, a couple vertical lines. Then I make those a little thinner. Here we have the idea of variety. So we're making these lines of these window grills with variety. Color and tonal value. So you see I'm using some cerulean blue to lighten it up here. Then I can go in and go straight into the sepia tone, nothing else. Pretty much straight out of the tube paint. And then you can just add that in a few spots. Okay, now we'll work down in here, cerulean blue, just to have some cool colors here, and then some burnt umber, raw umber, yellow ochre, sepia tone, mix that all up. And then here we're going to go with even a little bit of a lighter tonal value. And we're going to go up. I rinse off my brush, dry off a little bit of the paint and water, and try to lighten it up there a little bit, like that. And I'm going to go like this. Then I get some of that lighter tone. This will dry a little lighter. So how you see me putting it on now, know that it's going to be a little lighter in tonal value when it dries. Usually approximately half. So if you put something in watercolor on your paper, it'll lighten up about halfway lighter than what you start out with when you put it onto the paper, when you're painting, approximately. Do a little finger painting here. We have some more shadowing here coming in the window. We have this here is and some darker darks up top here, you can see above the window. I'm always mixing and changing my colors around. We used raw umber, yellow ochre, raw umber, burnt umber, sepia tone, like that. So let's mix around our colors. Variation is important. And we're up above now, the ceiling, so we can kind of flow out there like that. Remember, the window is the most, this is the most detailed part of the painting, the window. So once we finish up with this window, which will be the main portion of our work, we're really going to do a lot of intensive work here on this window area. Once that's done, then it's like easy. The rest of the painting's real simple. You're going to see that as we go. I'll show you exactly how we're going to get this done. The window part, it's a little more difficult, but when you get this window portion of this painting completed, the rest is going to be fun. We're going to be doing some swirling brush strokes for the walls, some tapping with some finger painting. We're going to do some tissues and blotting. So the walls will be a lot of fun, real easy to do. This is the most challenging and tough part of the painting, but once we get this area done, the rest of the painting will go easy, and you'll just see how beautiful it's going to look when we're finished. So stick it out. Don't get worried about if you have a problem with your window when you first start out. Again, I always say, if you can, sketch it out a few times on some paper, some printer paper first. Get the feel for the window, how you're going to draw it, space everything correctly, draw it a few times first. Then when you get onto your good watercolor paper, your rough watercolor paper, then you'll already be way ahead of the game. Then you can draw it in there confidently. And then once again, we're here and we're painting now. You're painting this window. You're confidently getting in your darks first. You get your darks in first, and then you just sort of work your lights in as you're going. And then once this section here is done, the window section, the rest is real simple, and you're going to see how that works. And if you want to simplify things, simplify your window down. You don't have to do as much detail as we did here. You can leave out some of the details, like, as much or as, add in as much interest or as little detail as you want in this window section. But remember, the window is all the work, really. The rest is more fun, loose, free, and you won't have to really work too hard once you get done with the window section. Okay, let's take a break. We're doing a lot of work here. This is very, detailed work, so it takes time. Take a rest, take a break. We'll come back and we'll continue working on our window here to get this wrapped up. And then we'll be on to the fun part with the walls and the rest of the details here. Okay, we're back from a quick break here, and let's get started again here. And again, we're working on the details of the window here in our painting. It's an interior painting, so this is something where we're thinking of, okay, we're on the interior of the room, looking out. So we're focusing on this portion of the painting, and trying to just get some variation of color. And again, the fun part's really coming up soon, where we're going to finish up with our window, and then we're going to be breaking out into the wall areas where it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have interesting textures to do, and it'll be less challenging to work on some of those details. And I think if we do lots of variety, we'll be okay. And here I'm just doing the molding on the side of the window. We can get some variety in that molding by maybe rolling up a tissue a little bit. And then just lifting up a little bit of paint, like so. And we'll go underneath here. So we have our sepia tone, burnt umber, we'll do some burnt sienna, yellow ochre. Definitely want to get some cerulean blue in there. And we're going to get that line underneath, a little bit of a shadow line underneath the molding, the windowsill. So this would be the darkest dark here, the shadow under the windowsill. Straight out of the tube, sepia. Then we let that then we add a little more water. I add some water to my brush, dampen the brush, and then we can just do a nice little bit of water in the brush, tap off a touch of the water. And we go across like that. And let's get a little bit of the darker darks again. Burnt umber, sepia tone, burnt sienna. Make sure we get in some cool cerulean blue. Cerulean blue, I start to work around because I notice I haven't gotten as much cerulean blue around the painting as I think I need. So I just put some in here and there. A couple splashes. Okay. Darker darks here on the trim, exterior trim on the wall. And I just zip on down there. There's, it's starting to get shadowy over here. There's a lot of shadows over on this side of the window. So that's where when you have shadows and dark, you can have fun because you don't have to worry so much about the details. Okay, there's shadowing there. So I just blend that right in with the wall color. So now's the time when you start thinking about your sort of finishing up your window area. I mean, we have some work to do in the window area, but when you start to think of these areas now, you're starting to think, all right, I'm sort of finishing up the window area. I'm getting there. So you start working some stuff out into the background. And we just do some scrubbing. You can do a little bit of that, no problem, because we're doing a lot of glazings on this wall. When we're done with the window, we're going to do a lot of glazing on the wall here. So you can add a little bit of fun splashes and things into the wall color, and it's not going to make a big difference. You're going to be going over a lot of this area with glazings, many glazings. As many as you want. You can actually do more than I do. I'm just saying what I'm going to do. You know, if you want to do more, you can do more. You can take your time and even do more glazings on the wall areas. But this is the key, really, is the window area. French ultramarine blue. If you add French ultramarine blue to your sepia tone, you get that real incredible dark, the really super dark, which you want to have here and there. This is a lot of glazings, if you can imagine. This is okay. Now we're going to get more darks here. You might put in some cerulean blue here, darks. we're going to do that raw umber. There we go. The bottom sash. So we're going to do that bottom sash right there across like that. Then we take some of that straight French ultramarine blue and sepia tone. And a couple little touches here and there along that. Good. We will do a little more of this here. And I'm just kind of gently, moving the brush around here and there to get that nice tree feel with the pine tree here. I'm going to switch over to a needlepoint brush. That needlepoint brush is going to give us those really beautiful, accurate details of the pine tree that we need. You can even switch up to a smaller needlepoint brush. Let's see if I have my... All right, I'm going to open up a brand new number 8 needlepoint brush here. If you can see on this one here, after a while, needlepoint brushes after many years, they get a little bit duller. So now I'm going to break out a brand new needlepoint brush here. And you can see how pointy that is. So that's what we really need. We need to have that. So if your brushes get worn out and the points get worn out after years and years of painting, you have to get some new brushes with some really, really pointy tips on them eventually. I'm not always happy that I have to buy brand new brushes, but you have to do it sometimes to get those real beautiful details. And that's what we're going to do here. So this is we're doing the details of the pine tree outside of this window. And you can see here I'm picking up the darks and okay, that's good. I would keep this very minimal. The pine trees outside this window, keep them very minimal. Don't do too much in there. That can really cause a lot of problems. I already did a little too much, I think, up here as I'm looking back at the photograph of the painting, the original painting. So I'm not going to worry about it, but I'm just taking a mental note of it. And then we'll just do that's the house and the siding over there. Okay, that's the trim. There's some more, again, more details here I got with the needlepoint brush. Looks good. just do that. And we're just doing the clapboard siding on the house on this side over here. Cerulean blue. A little bit of cerulean blue in the sky areas, but just a little bit. I would just leave it at that. Not too much. I would just leave it there. A little tiny bit of cerulean blue for the sky color outside, but I would leave it pretty much white paper. We're getting that feeling of super bright light into the room coming towards us. And once we put all the dark glazings around here on the interior of this scene, you're going to notice that this will really look incredible. The light, the bright light coming through the window will look really fantastic. So let's continue working on this. Let's take a quick break, and we'll come back and we'll start working on this bottom portion of the windowsill. And then other than that, I think we're pretty much good. So as long as we can keep our focus and take breaks, we're going to be fine. We did the majority of the window now is completed. We're going to do our windowsill last. Then we're going to get into the fun part, the glazings around the window and inside the room. And we're really home free once we get this window area done anyway. So always remember that once you get this window area completed, the rest is pretty much fun and really easy to tackle. So we'll come right back. And I just want to mention, if you haven't subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. We make videos just like this every week. So you come by. We're doing everything watercolor here on my channel. You'll have a lot of fun. We're going to do all kinds of interesting videos covering all kinds of techniques, methods, so that you get up to speed on all that you need to, so you can continue to create beautiful watercolors. Okay, so we're going to be right back. Okay, we are back from a break. My break was about an hour, so everything dried here. So that's always a comfort. As a watercolor artist, that's comfortable when you know you've walked away for a couple hours and you come back, you know you don't have to worry about anything here when you start to go back in and paint. So we're going to continue here. We got the most important part of the painting done, the window section. Now the rest is pretty much going to be a little more simple, not too difficult. So let's do I think the bedpost is going to be good to do now, because if we kind of paint over it, we might lose a couple of the highlights on our bedpost here. So let's make sure our bedpost comes out good. That's also a good important part of our painting here. It kind of gives us our indication we're in a bedroom here, and so we'll start working on that. I want to go in and get my sepia tone here. We added our sepia tone, raw umber, a little bit of raw umber, yellow ochre, French ultramarine blue. And let's see what we can do here. Let's finish up our window. Okay, we're going to add that. So I'm just doing some detailed And then here, super light wash. And then a couple little. And another darker wash here. There we go. And we'll get some blue, some darker French ultramarine blue there. And then a couple little highlights here and there on the siding. Out here. And now I'm just darkening up a couple spots. Oh, splashing here and there. There we go. So we're just trying to keep things loose here. Variety. That looks pretty good. So we have plenty of variety in the window area. And we captured all the details we needed to. There might be a few little dabs of darks that we could do up here, just in the... And that's pretty good. That's going to look fine. Okay, perfect. Now let's work on the bedpost here. We're going to use sepia tone and sepia tone, burnt umber, and French ultramarine blue, nice dark. And we'll start here. And I'm just carefully looking at the darkest darks. So the first thing I do is I'm going to tackle my darkest darks in this location here with the bedpost. And this looks pretty dark all the way through here, pretty much. Here, let's see. It looks pretty good, and if you have to lift up a little bit with some some tissue, you can do that too as well. Okay, good. And then we'll do some let's do a little bit of shade here, some shading on the bedspread here. There's a white bedspread I'm seeing, so I'm gonna put some shapes here, some darks. Okay, that looks good. And then we have some of the darker darks over here. Sepia tone, burnt umber. This is the chair rail over here. Okay, and then we're going to go across. We're going to do our chair rail. And I'm just sliding my hand across the paper. And then I dampen my brush to go underneath that. going to go with another little bit of cerulean blue, burnt umber, sepia. And again, another, just a quick, really light line there. Then I'm going to smooth both of those edges in. Then I'll go with one more line underneath this chair rail molding. That's going to be the shadow under the bottom of the chair rail molding. Changing up my colors. And then I'm going to smooth that bottom line into the wall paint. Now here I want it to be blotchy, that's all. Okay, and now we can step up our brush size. I'll go with a number 8 Raphael brush. And we'll just continue working our colors. Cerulean blue, raw umber, yellow ochre, sepia, cerulean blue, French ultramarine blue. Okay, now I'm going to look up here and see. Have fun with this. At this point, you're not stressing at all. You're just getting the paint on the paper, the washes. You flow around with your brush. Do any kind of brush strokes you want to make it look interesting. We're taking advantage of the rough paper. We're going to remember that this side of the wall is darker. The key here is not to leave any white paper in these sections over here on the wall. So your wall glazing, your watercolor finish on your walls here in this interior are going to be completely covered with watercolor paint with at least a mild light tone at best. You're going to do darker tones over this that we're doing now. So we're doing our first glazing. And you can just really get on just a good wash on there, and that's fine. We're done with the bed spread. That's completed now, so we don't have to worry anymore about that. That's good. Windows 100% good. And there we have it. Now we're just going to start getting a very light tone over here. Be careful of this line across here, though. We want to keep that nice crisp line there. But that wall's going to remain very light. So this is all we'll probably do over here on this side. And this will dry lighter. And if you go too dark, you can always lift up a little bit with a tissue. If you feel you've went a little too dark, you can tap up some lights. And there we have it. We will take a break in just a few seconds to relax a little bit. I'm just going to get a little darker tone across here on this chair molding. Chair rail. A couple splashes. Give it some texture. All right, good. Let's let this dry. So now's a good time. We'll take a little break here. Nothing too much, because we really are pretty much coming around to finishing up everything. So we don't have to worry about that. We're really just about completed here. So let's let this dry, this wash here, this glazing on the wall paint, on the interior of this painting, and then we'll come back in and just do our finishing touches. And we can do a little dabbing for some added interesting textures. Just a few here and there though, not too many. Okay, we'll come back and do a darker tonal value under here. I'm just getting up some puddles of water. Okay, good. Okay, so we're going to actually do our last glazing now on our walls. I think we just need one more glazing. We put a good undercoat here, our first glazing on the walls. So I think if we go one more glazing over top of this, quite a bit darker, we're going to get that look we're looking for. So let's do that. Let's make sure we mix up some good dark wash here. So up here we'll go with our burnt umber. We're going to go with our sepia tone, a little bit of the blue, French ultramarine blue, burnt sienna, more sepia, maybe a touch of also the blue, cerulean blue. Let's try that. This looks dark. I definitely will say you're going to think this looks dark, but it's going to dry lighter. So I'm going dark. And then you can just take your brush and go different ways with it. That's going to make a better looking effect. We're going to leave some of that light effect with the paper. It's a little bit lighter there. Let's go with some yellow ochre. So let's use some raw sienna too. We can get some raw sienna in there. It's definitely darker under here. Let's do that. Let's get some really good darks under the chair rail molding. This, you'll see, this is definitely going to get lighter. And then we can also use our tissue to blot up a little bit here and there. Maybe just do a quick little blots of the, and again, burnt umber, sepia tone, burnt sienna, a little bit of the blue, French ultramarine blue, raw sienna maybe too. Let's do that. And then go all different ways when you put the paint on. I tend to make it a little bit darker at the top of the painting. We want to keep this wall light over here. We don't want to go over that. And I'll do some splashing while we're over here. Some cool, warm and cool everywhere. So I want to make sure I get some of that cerulean blue over here as well. And we'll do some and then I'll just carefully make sure I get this line in the corner of the wall. Chair rail across the top of that. Make sure we get that okay. A little bit of that raw sienna to warm up the wall over here. And again, if you feel you went too dark, you can always blot up a little bit with the tissue like that. Same here. A couple blots here and there. Give it more texture. And I think that's good. I see a little bit of a dark up here, so let's do that like that. Around the window area, we can have a little more light. We can blot out some lights. Since we're using arches, you can go back in and do quite a bit of secondary washes as you're working, and you're not going to have an issue really. It tends to really work well. You can have lots of working time with arches. I added some cerulean blue under here, just a little bit, and then I can blot that up just to give it some coolness. And I noticed some areas that we can sort of blend in a little bit. Let's see if we could blend in a little bit of the window over here. Certain areas of the window sort of blend into the paint, to the wall. So let's do that. See if we can blend in some of that a little more. That could have been done a little better by myself here. Couple splashes. Just want to make sure I get this. I'm just trying to get that corner nice so that it looks good and crisp. Sometimes the paint tends to bleed over just a little bit from the darker washes we did, so I'll make sure I get that good. Okay, I think that's actually looks fine. There's a little bit of yellow ochre, raw sienna. Over here a little bit. Okay, so I think that's good. We'll peel off the tape and see how it looks with a good white border around it. See how that crisps up the edge here. And again, the key to the painting is really the window, and the rest went pretty smooth. As you can see, we just did glazings on the walls to give us that nice textured wall look. We use the rough paper. We have to have rough paper for this painting, that's for sure. Smooth paper might work. You could try it with smooth paper as like another alternative to this to see how that might look. It might look good too as well. But I think the effect looks great with the rough paper. Let's see if we can zoom in a little here. Okay, so we're going to actually finish up here. I'm going to put this on the beginning of the video so you can see the finished painting just like this here. This painting will be up on the beginning of the video. You can, at that point, at the very beginning of the video, pause the video, take a picture, screen capture, whatever you have to do, and you can work right from this painting because it's a lot easier if you're going to work from this painting, and then this way when you're getting into the painting and going step by step, you'll be able to see all the colors I used and so forth and how we did all the process of the different glazings and getting in the window and all those details. So I thank you for stopping by and for painting with me, and we'll see you on the next video.